guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, then hi, my name is Nandini and I'm a rising junior studying journalism and dramatic writing at New York University. As you can probably tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking to you about some of my favorite reads this past summer because I am a huge book nerd, and talking about books makes me really happy. Hopefully these recommendations can help you to get out of a reading slump or find your taste in reading, fiction, or whatever it is. So let's just get right into it. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I just finished reading Magpie by Elizabeth Day like a couple of days ago, and I definitely think it is one of my all-time favorite fiction reads. Firstly, I was attracted to this book because of its amazingly brilliant cover. Like, it has this outline of a woman layering underneath that of a large feather, and the title Magpie is also just very unique and interesting and intriguing. Then I saw this book on one of my favorite booktubers, Jack Edwards' channel, and he was raving about this book like it was like the best thing, and I was like, okay, I have to get it now and read it as soon as I can. So this book basically starts out with the story of the protagonist Marissa, who's pregnant with her boyfriend Jake's baby. The two of them are very happy, and then they're sort of like the perfect couple, and they move into this dream apartment of theirs. But soon the couple runs into some financial troubles, because of which they have to sort of invite a new lodger to stay with them so that they can balance out the expenses and continue staying in their dream apartment. This new lodger is Kate. Marissa soon afterwards gets really uncomfortable with Kate's presence in their apartment, and she thinks that Jake, her boyfriend, is cheating on her with Kate. This brews trouble for literally everyone because Marissa is the kind of woman who will do anything, and I mean anything, to find answers and to get what she wants. And the story just like unfolds from there. The thing I just described to you is just like the first part of the book, because I know that if I go any further in describing the plot of the book, I will just give away the whole thing. I'll give away the plot twist, which by the way is just insane. It's definitely one of the books that you just want to know what happens, so you keep reading, and the plot twist is just so strong that it's definitely one of the best ones that I've read in fiction overall. Which is why I think if you're the kind of person who really likes books with a very strong plot, then this is a top choice, a good choice for you. The character analysis in this book is pretty strong too, and you really get to know what each character is thinking. You get to know the story through different perspectives, which I think is a great structural choice. The only problem I found with this book was the last 100 pages could just be summed up in 10 and it would just be fine. The ending was really dragged out, which is why reading through those last 100 pages was just a bit sluggish for me. Okay, now Open Water by Caleb Azumah Nelson is our next one, and I'm so glad I picked this copy up from the Strand bookstore in New York because I was again attracted to its cover first. I think we can see some sort of like unhinged pattern here, but bear with me. I mean, if you look at the font, all the color combinations, the book is just like so inviting to you. Like the cover just like it calls on to you, you know what I mean? And I'm the sort of person that usually does not like, I despise human faces on book covers. But with this one, I think I didn't mind it. It just like sort of worked out well. So when it comes to the actual writing of this book, I think the author has done a phenomenal job at describing the changing dynamics between the relationship of the two protagonists. So one of them is a photographer and the other is a dancer, and the two are just trying to navigate and really find themselves in this bizarrely complicated, competitive and weird world. Like, the tenderness and the intimacy with which their relationship is described is breathtaking. The whole time I was reading this book, it felt like I was reading poetry, and I mean that in a way that it's not as complicated as reading poetry, but the tenderness and the wholeness of every single word in this book is just, it's amazing. To prove my point, let me read something to you. So on one of the pages, the author writes, and I quote, "You feel you have never been strangers. You do not want to leave each other, because to leave is to have the thing die in its current form, and there is something in this that neither is willing to relinquish." And let me read you another one. And I quote, "Ask if flexing is being able to say the most in the least amount of words. Is there a greater flex than love? The gaze requires no words at all. It is an honest meeting. I mean, come on, like what could be better than that? The book also has a lot to do with race and living as black people in modern day London, and the complexity and the intricacy with which such heavy topics are being discussed and spoken about literally shatters you. It definitely is a very introspective book, and I think because of this, anyone and everyone should read it. To take a complete U-turn from the previous book, let's talk about George Orwell's 1984, a book I'm sure everyone on the planet has heard of. So this book was on my reading list for so long, and I was quite ashamed and felt guilty of not having read it till now, not even like in school or anything, that when I saw it, I believe it was on a train station in Rome, I was like, screw everything else I'm reading right now, I can get to them later. I'm gonna pick this copy up and start reading it right now. So I have heard so many different contrasting opinions about Orwell's writing from folks. Some tend to really love it while some tend to really hate it. I belong to the love club because yes, I do understand that Orwell's writing is simple and straightforward and easy to read, all of which are actually really good things. The way in which Orwell arranges and strings together words, just mere words, it actually makes you feel something, which is a really daunting and difficult task to do, and Orwell was a pro at it. So when it comes to the book, it's set in a dystopian world and revolves around the life and times of this man called Winston Smith. Now, Winston is the kind of man who is really particularly concerned about what's happening in his surroundings, what's happening to his country. His country is sort of ruled by this like dictator kind of dude called the Big Brother, and a ruling party known as just the party. And these people basically control every aspect of their people's lives. The citizens of the country are basically brainwashed into believing whatever the party and the Big Brother says, and if they don't follow them, then there are very severe repercussions. Winston does not like living in such sort of like tyrannical regime, and then he dares to fall into love with this woman called Julia. The party soon finds out about their relationship, which is a sin according to the party. And to know what happens to them, you'll have to read further because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. I'm just gonna say it, but please don't come for me. I was not a Sally Rooney fan when I read some of her previous works. I'm not gonna name which ones, but maybe Beautiful World, Where Are You by her has changed some things. So Beautiful World, Where Are You is basically a book in which nothing dramatic happens or nothing much is really going on. So if you're the kind of person who needs like a strong plot or suspense or something that hooks you and keeps you reading, I don't particularly think this book is for you. But I, like many other countless readers, continued reading and were just hooked to this book because Sally Rooney writes fantastically well. It's like she understands Gen Z, their emotions, the sentiments that they go through, their day-to-day problems, whatever it is. And I don't remember where I read or heard this, but reportedly Sally Rooney said that every author is writing about these like big problems that are happening and big events in the world, which there's nothing wrong with. You should write about uncomfortable things and, big things in my opinion. But she said nobody's really concentrating about, on the common man. Like, what about his day-to-day problems, big or small? What about his emotions and stuff like that? And she decided to write about it, and I thought that was pretty cool. So this novel explores the relationship between four characters, and we sort of just learn about the four characters as they navigate the ups and downs in their lives. And this book and the characters and their relationships are just very heartwarming and comforting. And the book will probably give you an existential crisis, but like in a go way. Sally Rooney also really focuses on the characters, which is great. I always love a character-driven, a character-focused book. The only thing is, I wish that each of the four characters would sort of go on their own individual journeys and we would get to learn more about them individually rather than only in the setting of their particular relationship to the other characters. I feel that would just have added just a little bit more weight and dynamic to the book. Next up and lastly, we have Vladimir by Julia May Jonas. And the first thing I read about this book before I picked it up was actually about the author. And I love the fact that Julia May Jonas is a professor at a good university, and she's also a playwright, and I just find that so cool because I love plays. I'm literally studying playwriting, and I'm also a student in the whole university setting like she is, but just as a professor. And yeah, I don't know why, I just found that really cool. So this book is really interesting, and if you're like me and you love the university vibe, then this book is so for you. It's all about this like older female professor who develops a liking for a younger male professor who joins her university and is also a celebrated novelist. At the same time, this older female professor, who's our protagonist and also the narrator, it's written in first person of the story, she also has to deal with certain charges that the university has inflicted against her husband, who is also a professor at the same university. So thus the book deals with a lot of messy contradictions between power and desire, and truly, once this narrator starts her story, you will be glued to it and will be left wanting for more. The only thing I think the author could have focused on, and I feel really strongly about this, is the book's ending, because it definitely felt very rushed and not fleshed out at all. It was kind of underwhelming, especially after the extremely good build-up, but it is what it is. So these were my top 5 picks from this summer's reading list. I really hope you guys liked this video. If you did, then please consider liking it and subscribing to my channel. It really does help me out. Till then, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!
내게 한 가지 소원을 묻는다면 사랑이란 것을 목매 딸리지 않게 해줘